We often think, oh, perhaps we want to live forever, and it's consistent with that this classroom is the all of living. Its creation is not the all of living. This creation of matter and time and space is the classroom, I think. And when we've learned enough, we graduate. It's a sort of almost fearful thing, graduating, but it's an exciting, glorious thing too, because we move on to the next development of becoming an adult in the kingdom of heaven, promoted to glory, if you like, in the traditional Christian nonconformist view of things. We actually would not be blessed by some endless life here in the classroom. We would be appallingly stunted. We can come back as teachers, perhaps, avatars or whatever, and be a blessing. But like Paramahansa, you don't have to live to 100 or 200, or like Babaji, perhaps living indefinitely, and perhaps not really at all, just appearing on earth as and when required, spending the rest of your time, so to speak, in heaven, in the eternity. We're children, we get preoccupied with the toys. In this case, we're preoccupied with, isn't the home nice? I'd like to stay at home and not grow up forever. And perhaps I can be grown up at home forever. But there's a vast experience of being out there that God has for us. Probably still part of our growing up. And it would be such a sadness if we did not embrace it. So, although I always say, to my little kid, I'm going to live to 220, and thinking in my mind probably a lot more. And I'll do it by a fruitarian diet and the love of God, of course. That's a thought, too. I start to think of doing this will achieve so and so. Being fruitarian will make me eternally healthy and more spiritual. And it might help towards such. But there's a better way. And that is God's wonderful way in developing me as an individual and those around us. So I might see that fruitarian is a help in that regard. But don't worship it as some necessity. There's a deeper, greater necessity than that. And that is to trust God for doing, the wonderful things that God does. And they'll dwarf my contribution of, say, achieving being fruitarian. So it's a bit like my understanding of meditation and yoga and practices. They do get there, and they are miraculous and wonderful, but not to be compared to the fantastic ways of God. The airplane route, as Paramahansa would say, is actually not the yoga or meditation or it's the hand of God in our life that does what we're not even conceiving of, and wonderfully so. In other words, salvation is the gift of God, life is the gift of God, life eternal. Knowledge of Him, to know God, is His gift that He gives us. We can express our willingness to receive and our delight and our gratitude. But what we can do in contribution to His achievement is pretty small. Compared to His loving kindness and goodness to us. He is the great, vast bulk of our blessing, not we ourselves, not our own contribution. He chooses to bless us through others and through our own efforts, quite often. But the vast bulk of His blessing to us is the gift of His good nature, His good heart, His loving heart to us. We are so blessed to be of Him. We can't imagine it. We cannot grasp the wonderfulness of His blessing to us. Wonderfulness of His blessing to all. Thank you, Heavenly Father,